MP will never fade. Crank it louder, feel the heat. Barbecue anthems forever sweet. Get in the smoke, yeah, the fire won't die. With central lights cheering, the flames reach the sky. Raise your glasses, let the whole world know we're rocking forever on the barbecue show. Get in the smoke, let the fire take hold. Raise your lighter, stories told. Barbecue thunder, the spotlights glow. Rocking the pit on the barbecue show. And still going strong. White whales landed. He's played that song. Breaking the news, Hall of Fame on the line. With Connie's recipes, the stars align. He's the flame that never dies, a barbecue hero with fire in his eyes. Get in the smoke, let the fire take hold. Raise your lighter, stories told. Barbecue thunder, the spotlights glow. Rocking the pit on the barbecue show. From Bomb City Nights to the world stage, the legend of Rempe will never fade. Crank it louder, feel the heat. Barbecue anthems forever sweet. Get in the smoke, yeah, the fire won't die. With central lights cheering, the flames reach the sky. Raise your glass.
Sam the Cooking Guy, and you're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Some call him a fool, some even call him a douchebag. But I say Greg Rempe is the greatest thing to happen to barbecue since caveman.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Welcome to the really big Barbecue Central Show. Yes, we've made it back. Week off, but here we are, second Tuesday in June. This is the show where we talk about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling. The show originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evenings, a live fire fun and frivolity show. If you would like to get in contact with the show this evening, or you would like to follow the show during off-show hours, here's how you do all that.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at bbqcentralshow.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at BBQ Central Show. And be sure to subscribe to the show podcast feed on your favorite podcast platform.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, the BBQ centralshow.com. And here's what's happening on the show this evening. Coming up in about 12 minutes from now, it is the second Tuesday of a month, and in his second quarterly visit, the creator of AmazingRibs.com, Barbecue Hall of Famer, and Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer, Meathead. Tonight, we're going to be talking about a specific topic, one that is deeply, deeply important to my oldest daughter, Bobby. Hot dogs. Yeah, deeply important. There might be no bigger fan of hot dogs, a.k.a. glizzies, than Bobby. She has talked about it a number of times as she has appeared as a guest on this show. We got her a hot dog bun steamer for Easter this year, and it was, you might as well thought we gave her $1 billion. She was so excited, brought it to work. It cooks 24 hot dogs and steams 12 buns. I don't know. I mean, I like a hot dog here and again, but she very, very much appreciates a nice hot dog. So we'll be talking about hot dogs with Meathead, regionalities, special ones, mass market ones, the whole deal. Are they lips and assholes? For crying out loud. So Meathead tonight shortly. And then after Meathead, it is 35 past the first hour, and it'll bring our monthly visit from the contributing barbecue editor to Southern Living magazine, Robert Moss. So we'll talk about some potential Bahamian barbecue routes. We'll probably dip into the Caribbean barbecue routes. We'll talk about how he wrote an article on, the world and the skies are falling for barbecue restaurants. It's doing the opposite also for barbecue restaurants. And can they be mutually exclusive? Can they both be happening at the same time? So that'll bring a close to the first hour. Then we will move to the second hour because I was off last week. He has reloaded for the second week, and about 30 minutes later than usual, 14 past the second hour, and the creator of Another Pint, Please, Mike Lang, will join us. Oh, boy. Do we have some great things to talk about with Mike. There was a new Weber Santa Maria style grill released months before that. Well, technically it hasn't been released into the market. That's coming next year, but they have trotted it out. Almost like a pre-order on books these days. They've trotted out the Santa Maria style grill Weber has. Now, the Blackstone version, because those two companies together, is available for sale. And so we'll talk about if he has used both of them or either of them, and if he has used both, how do they, of course, talk about, or how do they compare, contrast to each other? 2 weeks ago, we were talking about, would you buy the Weber over the Blackstone version? And nobody on the Embedded Correspondence thought that they would buy one or the other. And I said, well, between the two, I would buy the Weber version, just from a potential quality build standpoint. So that'll be Mike Lang, 14 past the second hour. And then closing it out tonight, first-time guest and the VP of Operations and Culinary Innovation at the World Food Championships, Chris Tanner. Strongman? So excited to have a first-time conversation with Chris, see what he's doing at World Food Championships. Like, what does that title actually mean when you put the rubber to the road? Talk a little bit about his cooking background, all that fun stuff. So Chris Tanner to close out the show. And that's how the entirety of the show is laying out here. Meathead and Robert Moss in a first hour, Mike Lang and a Chris Tanner in a second hour. Don't forget you can follow me socially on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, and LinkedIn, all with the handles at BBQ Central Show. And we say good evening to those of you watching tonight through one of the video streaming platforms. You can go to Facebook.com/BBQ Central Show, or you can watch on YouTube, which is YouTube.com/@BBQ Central Show, where we do have a new YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, including all guests, but not Meathead. We have way too many important things to talk about than Would You Rathers with Meathead. But for everybody else, would you rather be able to erase people's memory or predict their future? I know I typed it out. Well, it appears there is no YouTube poll question of the week currently sitting on YouTube, so I will have to remedy that situation as we are in the brief break before Meathead comes on. Results of the poll question from what is 2 weeks ago: would you rather abolish war or find a cure for every cancer? 87% said they would rather find a cure for every cancer, and 13% of you are wrong. All right, so let's talk about it. Yes, you can see for me, sun-kissed, as it were. I am back from yet another successful vacation in the Bahamas, on Paradise Island, at the Atlantis Resort, specifically the Cove. And while there appeared to potentially be tragedy at the Cove Resort on Atlantis, because the traditional Cove, specifically the pool and lounge-about area, was under high construction. Torn down, gates and blockades up. You can't get by it because there's nothing to get to, by the way. So how are they going to make a all-adult, which also means no kids, pool at Atlantis? Because all of these pools have been already delegated for time after time. Well, wouldn't you know, the geniuses over there were able to figure something out, and they were able to put together a much larger Cove pool existing. They were able to keep the snot-nosed punks out, mostly. And most importantly, the deckside service was certainly nothing but gold level spectacular. So we came in on a Saturday, and then we vacated the following Saturday. We stayed an extra whole day than we normally would. I think we could have stayed an extra 2 more days than we normally would. I could still be there right today. This is the first time I've ever been on a vacation where, like, on day 5, I said, could we possibly look at moving here to the Bahamas and make a go of it right here on Nassau Island? And, of course, we hit AI immediately. We started putting in all the right questions. We quickly find out that's probably not a great idea. Everything's expensive. Do you need to make a lot of money to live there necessarily? No. Of course, I can't do what I do here in Cleveland in the Bahamas. There were a lot of negatives, but the biggest negative currently is that gas in the Bahamas is trending towards $8 a gallon, and everything is shipped in or flown in, which means food costs go up 50, 60% than what we're used to. Plus, I talked to a couple that live there who are staying at the resort, and they went on and on about how the basic necessities of a handyman, a plumber, roll of the dice at best. Didn't go out of their way to sell me on coming to the Bahamas for life. But boy, I was definitely interested. First time ever, I was interested in not leaving vacation. So that probably happens as you get older at my advanced age of almost 52 next month. We're a month out from 52, gang, if you can believe it. Time is almost up, but I'll keep plugging along. Hey, what do we love about ceramic cookers? We love that they're fuel efficient, yes. We love that you can achieve those low and slow traditional barbecue temps, yes. We love that you can get rip-roaring hot when you want to do the high searing of steaks and other thin cuts. But what's missing in the everyday round ceramic cookers? You can't really do 2-zone fires there. Like, can use it? Yeah. Is it really 2-zone? Not really. Enter Primo and the game-changing oval design that really allows you to execute a 2-zone setup that you desire. 2-zone setup, very important to our next guest, Meathead. from AmazingRibs.com loves two-zone fire. If you can't two-zone fire, you're probably getting scored down at AmazingRibs.com. So take that to note, manufacturers. A little free piece of advice from your pal Greg at the Barbecue Central Show. Primo only sold through dealers, so you have to find one local to you. How do you do it? Go to primogrill.com and find a dealer nearest you, then visit in person. Check out all the ovals that they offer. And remember, when we talk about best ceramics in the biz, you go to their factory, they have all of the ceramic cookers in their kiln, and they close the door, they fire it up, and the only one left standing is the Primo. Best ceramics, proven time and time again. The others literally can't take the heat. primogrill.com. We're back with Meathead right after this.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. My first guest this evening has done it. He has created the most heavily trafficked barbecue and grilling website, not only in the state of Illinois or the state of Ohio, but the whole state of the globe. A best-selling author, a Barbecue Hall of Famer, a Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer. I should say two-time author, actually. Of course, it's our pal, Meathead from AmazingRibs.com. Hey, Meathead.
Hey, Greg and Centralites. Greg, I got a question for you.
All right.
You were using a word I'm not familiar with. What
Go
is
ahead.
this thing called, a vacation?
Yeah, you're going to go on one in like 10 months, I think you said.
Yes. One of these days.
Where's the
One of these
countdown?
days.
Last time
Hey.
you were on, you said you were going to be taking a vacation in year 2026.
I am. Actually, we bought a package for the Rose Bowl. We're going to go out to
That's
see
right.
the floats being built and the parade and the football game. So I'm psyched for that. Hey, I like your new theme song. But it says 17 years. What are you going to do next year?
Well, the guy that made it is going to have to re-record it.
I guess. Yeah.
Yes.
Greg, why aren't you in the Hall of Fame? What the hell
Oh,
happened
no.
again this year?
What are you talking about this for? Who even cares?
Well, who'd you piss off?
Well, I don't know if you know, Meathead, but I think last year, I got to think about my words here. I apologize in advance if I mistakenly speak out of school here, but this might not have been with you. But I recall having a conversation with somebody, maybe on or off air, and said, and I didn't say, like, why didn't I make it in? Like, I've long maintained, who gives a shit? They said something to the effect of, he had his time, and like, so now it's past. Like, I had a window to get in, and I didn't get in, and now that window shall never open again, or something along these lines.
That's bullshit. All right.
What do you think of the class of 2026? You were a voting member.
Good class. They're absolutely well-deserved. None of them more well-deserved than you, but yeah, Malcolm Reed, oh my goodness. Yeah, great people.
Yeah.
I voted for everyone on that list. I'm very happy. But yeah, that we won't dwell on the politics, which is unfortunate.
Well, what do you think,
we're here to
Meathead?
talk
Like,
hot dogs.
what do I need to do?
I don't
You're,
know.
you're my biggest
obviously,
champion.
Obviously, you pissed somebody off. I mean, there's obviously a blackball on your name for some reason.
Well, we'll dig into it. I'll sick one of my embedded correspondents to do a little covert ops, and maybe in 3 months' time we'll have a story. So, as you said, big topic tonight. The topic that is top of mind on Bobby Rempe's mind every single second of every single day hot dogs. I'm no kidding.
I wish I'd known. I've met Bobby, and
Yep.
I wish we could have talked hot dogs. I'm a hot dog fan. I'm a hot dog freak. And one of the things I wanted to touch on tonight, not just hot dogs in general, but there's a really interesting cultural effect for hot dogs. Now, you talk hamburgers, you go to Cleveland, you go to someplace not so nice like the Bahamas, and you'll find hot hamburgers, 30 different kinds of hamburgers in every hamburger restaurant out there. But when it comes to hot dogs, there tend to be localized regional styles, like the Chicago hot dog. They say there are more hot dog stands in Chicago than there are fast food burger joints, McDonald's and the others, and regular burger. And all of the hot dog joints make the hot dogs the same way. There's 7 prescripted ingredients, and it's on every one of the Chicago hot dogs. And it's no ketchup. Ketchup is a sin in Chicago hot dogs. You go to New York, and you got the Coney Island dog. You got the Detroit Coney. There's a Seattle dog. There's a Dodger dog. And we can talk about what's in all. But they're all distinctive styles that you find almost only in those. The Seattle dog, it's got cream cheese on it. You won't find cream cheese in a hot dog in Cleveland, I don't think.
Never.
No, or Chicago. So it's really kind of culturally cool. Now, there are hot dog manufacturers, and in Chicago we have Vienna beef, and there are different but the basic core hot dog is pretty much the same all around. It's the toppings, and what's cool about it, and the reason I wanted to talk to you about it this month, is a fun idea for a party is to do hot dogs either on the grill or simmer them. Don't boil them, simmer them, and then put out a spread of the toppings so people can make themselves a Cincinnati dog, a Chicago dog, a New York a Coney dog, Seattle dog, a Dodger dog. And it's just kind of fun. Let people make their... And what I love to do during football season, if the Bears are playing Seattle, then we cook Seattle dogs and we eat the enemy, which is an old tradition in Aboriginal cultures. You go out and you kill one of your enemies, bring them back to your camp, and you eat them. So we eat a Seattle dog when we're playing Seattle.
Yeah. I have to ask a question.
Of course, we don't have to do that if we're playing Cleveland because it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's right. We suck. Let me ask you, because you had talked about preparation there, do it on the grill. Then you said simmer, don't boil. So simmer still means you have a tempered water of some kind.
Yes.
I feel like, because I've been told by one, real barbecue and grilling guys shit all over guys and gals that might even put a wiener in the water, boiling or simmering. In fact, Steven Reichland once told me that there is a 10th circle of hell waiting for people like me who boil hot dogs, if you can believe it. Said it right here on the show.
Well, all right. First of all, water's a solvent. That's why we wash our hands with it. That's why we clean our cars with it. Water's a solvent. Anytime you simmer or boil something, that solvent is extracting flavor. And in fact, if you go to New York City and one of the soubrette stands on every corner, and they have dirty water dogs, they call them, they're simmered hot dogs, and they're called dirty water because the water is gray. It has extracted color and flavor from the hot dog. So you do lose, but they don't always have a grill. And now, well, I think everyone who's listening to me here has a grill. We all know that a grill creates flavor. You get the Maillard reaction, the proteins and the amino acids change, and you get maybe a little bit of char, and you get some color, and you get maybe some smoke. So that's the best way to go. But your classic New York dog is a dirty water dog, and same thing for most cities. It's just simmered. If you the idea of not boiling holds for almost all meats. And we go back long before you and me, it came the expression low and slow. The reason for that is that when things are cooked at high temperatures, the proteins, the muscle fibers, they shrink. And when they shrink, they squeeze out juices. So whether you're doing brisket or hot dogs, you don't want to get it too high a temperature. So we say simmer. Simmer's around 190. Boiling, of course, is 212. So you want to keep it down under 200 or so to just warm it throughout. They're all pre-cooked. Almost all hot dogs are pre-cooked. And so all you got to do is heat them to 145, and they're safe.
So I remember going to old Cleveland Stadium on the lake. Well, I mean, the Brown Stadium's on the lake where the old Cleveland Stadium used to be. And we went to when we moved to Cleveland. We go to the then Cleveland Indians games, and they had the hot dog vendors walking up and down the aisles, calling out, doing the bark deal. You'd get the hot dog, open it up, dirty water dog comes out. And then, of course, the classic and only Cleveland mustard, which is gray-based mustard.
I love that mustard.
It's delicious. It looks really weird, but it's totally delicious. Burtman's Ballpark
it's
mustard.
A unique. Talk about that so people can learn a little bit, because there are a lot of mustards out there, hundreds of. There's a mustard museum, but that particular mustard is unique to Cleveland, and it's really good.
Yeah, Burtman's was the original maker of that, and really gained its popularity and fame in the stadiums of Cleveland. Whether it was indoor or outdoor, you get a hot dog, there's always stadium mustard that was by it. You had packets of Plochman or Heinz yellow mustard if you wanted it, but there were big vats that you press down the top and do the ballpark mustard, because that is really what continues to rule the day here in Cleveland as we speak.
I think it's the best hot dog mustard out there.
It's great. There's just like a little bit of a horseradish flavor, not heat, but a horseradish flavor.
Kick.
Just a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very unique. I think one of the biggest tragedies over time, at least here in Cleveland, and you could tell me what's happening in Chicago, they've gone away from dirty water vending. You get a hot dog vendor now, feels like it's in a mail sack, and you ask for the hot dog, and out he whips a hot dog that is wrapped in a foil wrap-up and hands it. No putting the dog together, no sitting in the water, nothing like that. Is that happening across this nation?
Well, that's your standard ballpark approach. I mean, they don't have time to assemble it for you as they're marching up and down the aisles, and they're wrapped in this foil thing. And, I did an article. I'm based in Chicago, as perhaps your listeners may know. And I did an article where I reviewed all the hot dog stands, or many of them in the Chicago area. And they got big points if they put it in a little box, if they treated it with respect, if they wrapped it in this paper-lined foil and it got all smushed, that was points against them. I mean, treat it with some respect. But there's all kinds of ways of presenting them. And these little cardboard, they're like... the things you bury people in, and they're really much better.
I think one of the best ways to cook a hot dog, not necessarily on a traditional grill, charcoal, or gas, is taking a good size, this is going to sound double entendre, a good size wiener, cutting it down long ways, separating it, not through, separating it out, and then going on the flat top, maybe a little butter before the hot dog, then right on it, flip it around, and then, oh my God, American cheese in the middle, toasted bun, put it on, and then the coup de grace, which of course most people would hate because they would say I have the palate of a 7-year-old, little ketchup right down the middle. George Motes shits all over ketchup, but I mean, I'm not a big ketchup guy necessarily, but I don't mind it on a hamburger, and I don't mind it on a hot dog.
I don't mind it on a burger either, but hot dogs, no. But I'm in Chicago. The technique you described, splitting it down the middle and then griddling it, is quite common around the country. One of the most famous is Rochester, where they make what they call the garbage dog. It's a hot dog made by a company called Zweigel, and it's kind of a whitish hot dog. Nick Tahoe's garbage plate is they split it down the middle, and it's got all kinds of stuff on it. It's got French fries and smashed beans and macaroni salad and so on. But splitting it down the middle, there's another interesting technique that people do. You can take a knife and score the ends, the tips, so that as you cook them, the ends flare open and they get a little crunchy, and that's a nice technique. And then you can also lay the dog on a cutting board and with a knife just drag it across the hot dog at an angle so you get sort of a slinky. And again, those edges crisp. Oh, and that's something else. Look for hot dogs with a natural skin. That's that's the snap. Now, a lot of them don't have a natural skin. They put them in a cellulose skin when they're smoking them and peel them off, and that's designed because sometimes kids get the skin. It sticks in their throat, so it's a child protection thing. But that's, I think, much ado about nothing. But I think you got to have a natural skin on it to be a really great hot dog.
Are you a fan of that product called Slot Dog? You familiar with Slot Dog? Slot Dog? It's a
once again.
slot, S-L-O-T, Slot Dog. Do you know that?
I'm not familiar with it. No.
So hot dog on a plate, and you take the Slot Dog apparatus, and it's just, it's got like a gridiron of its sharp edges. You press it down on the hot dog, you flip it over, you press it down on the other side. Doesn't cut it all the way through. Then, as you're talking about, you cook, and because it's got all of these serrations in it now, it starts to expand and pop open and caramelize all over the place like it wouldn't normally otherwise.
Like the slinky technique,
yes.
Similar effect.
Yeah. What about deep frying hot dogs?
We call them franchises, and they're not common, but they are popular in New Jersey, and there's a variation here in Chicago where they're wrapped in bacon and then deep fried, and that's kind of fun. But Jersey does fried hot dogs a lot. One of the best hot dogs I've ever had was in Burgundy, France, a little trailer alongside the road next to Clos Vougeot, which, if you know anything about wine, is one of the most fantastic vineyards and wineries in the world. And he was making hot dogs made from veal, so they were white. And he had a baguette, which he cut to the length of the hot dog. And then the baguette got skewered on a stainless steel poker that was about the same size as the hot dog. So it went up the middle of the baguette and toasted the interior of the baguette. And then he took the hot dog and dunked it in Dijon mustard, because Dijon is right up the road from Burgundy, and slithered this thing in a slightly sexual fashion up into this baguette. And boy, that was really good.
Wow. What, give me, like, off the top of your head, top 10 most popular regional style hot dogs in the country? Point that microphone to your face, too, by the way. It's hanging down. Like, point it up towards your mouth. You don't. There we go.
You always got me screwing around with the damn microphone.
Well, you got to have the capsule by your mouth. Otherwise, we can't hear you.
It is.
Point it up.
Okay. Point it up.
There we go. There we go. Oh, now you disconnected it. Oh, boy. Uh-oh. It'll get there. Don't worry. There we go. Oh, no. You have to reconnect. Stand by for Meathead. Meathead, reconnect. Rejoin the browser. Yeah. Oh, boy. I'm never going to hear the end of this.
How am I doing?
There we go. All right. We're right there.
Okay. All right. Favorite hot dogs.
Yes.
Well, I love the Chicago hot dog. We call it dragging it through the garden because it's got a dill pickle spear on it.
It's delicious.
It's got 2 hot pickled peppers on there, It's got celery salt. It's on a poppy seed bun. It's got mustard, and it's got kryptonite green relish. Um, um, but absolutely positively no ketchup. And they won't serve you ketchup in a Chicago hot dog joint. They have ketchup pumps for the French fries, but not for the hot dogs. The Cincinnati dog is good. It's got a ground beef. They call it a chili. Don't get the Texans in on this conversation. It's got a ground beef and bean chili sauce or ground beef sauce on top, and then shredded cheddar cheese on top. Down in West Virginia, they put coleslaw on top.
Yeah.
And that's a nice touch, unusual. I mean, some of these, they may not be to everybody's taste, but the coleslaw on top is an interesting touch. Up in Rhode Island, they have a version called Up the Arm, where the guy holds the hot dog buns on his arm, the forearm, and assembles them there. And there's a wiener. They call it a wiener, not a hot dog up there. Yellow mustard, a meat sauce, and it says don't call it chili. Chopped onions and celery salt. That's common for the. Let's see. New Jersey, of course, we mentioned has a lot of fried dogs, and there's one called the Italian dog in Jersey. Not surprising, probably something that Tony Soprano liked. And it's griddled and or deep fried, and it's put in like a boat made out of bread, maybe even a thick pita, topped with sautéed onions and sweet peppers and fried potato discs, mustard optional.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm looking at my favorite list here. Oh, in Detroit, they make the meat sauce or the chili from beef heart. Beef heart.
Wow.
And that's really different, really interesting. And of course, one of my all-time favorites is corn dogs. I'm addicted to corn dogs.
Yeah.
There's a good lively fight between Springfield, Illinois, and Texas, Oklahoma, Minnesota. So they all claim to be the inventor of the corn dog, but they're not all that easy to make. You got to make this batter and dunk it in and fry it. Let's see what else. Well, we mentioned the Seattle cream cheese dog.
Yeah.
In Hawaii, they have one called the puka dog, and they get a something like that one I talked about in France. They get a loaf of bread and they hollow out the center, and the dog goes up into the center with a signature sauce made with garlic, lemon, and pepper. And often tropical fruit sauces: pineapple, mango, papaya, coconut, starfruit, guava, banana. So
Meathead, let me ask you one last question here before I cut you loose tonight. In your heyday, in 10 minutes, how many hot dogs and buns could you eat?
Oh God! I've never been a mass. No, I'm not. I've just never challenged Joey Chestnut or wanted to. I mean, I almost always order a hot dog in an airport. You can always get a hot dog in an airport, and they're quick and easy. You can eat it as you're walking towards your plane. And I might eat two, maybe in a pinch 3, but I just don't cram them down. But I really do enjoy them. I love that flavor, and I'll often eat it naked. Not me, the hot
plain dog.
Yeah, naked.
Wow. Yeah. All right.
Nothing on it. I love the meat.
If you need more hot dog information, there's only one place you should be going. It's AmazingRibs.com for further hot dog instruction and history and all that good stuff. And in the meantime, make sure you're getting Meathead's books that are available. He has 2 books available. Meathead, go ahead.
I was going to say, the basis for this conversation is an article I wrote called Hot Dog Road Trip. And if you go to AmazingRibs.com and search for Hot Dog Road Trip, you'll get all of these, including the Icelandic dog and all of these hot dogs.
And make sure that you put in the search bar Mustard Festival, where you can see a picture of Meathead screaming down some lady at the I think she was the Mustard Queen. It's one of the best photographs of Meathead ever.
I don't remember that.
Oh, I have it. I'll send it to you after I get off the show
all right,
tonight.
I can
But
use
yeah,
it.
it's one of my favorites. So, all right, Meathead, always appreciate the time, and we will see you in 3 months.
Always good to be with you, and take care, Centralites.
There he is, Meathead, right there. As always, yes. Breaking down all of the hot dog histories. My dad in the instant chat, M&M Hots, Elmira, New York. Go there no matter how long it takes or how much it goes. Is it even open still? I can attest, very tasty. I'm probably one of the closest ones that could go there in so many hours. All right, well, we're back with Robert Moss right after this. Stick around, we'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
Yeah, we thank Meathead for joining us from AmazingRibs.com last segment. Look, I'm just saying this in advance of the emails that are going to flood in. I can only lead a horse to water so many times. And then, what can I do? It's like he's never seen a microphone in his life, how to use it. We've only been doing this for like 14, 15, 20 years. And the last 12, a microphone has been mandated. But, I mean, it couldn't have been hung more incorrectly to start. And it got worse over the segment. I saw it. Don't write in about it. I'm addressing it right now. And let's just let it go into the corner and die a slow, miserable death. Joining me now, though, is a Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer and the contributing barbecue editor to Southern Living magazine. Our favorite guy, Robert Moss. Hey, Robert.
Hey, Greg. How's it going?
I am very well, and we just had a rousing wiener discussion with Meathead from AmazingRibs.com. Do you have a favorite hot dog regionality or a favorite hot dog in general?
I am particularly partial to the Carolina dog, which apparently did not make Meathead's list, but that is a distinctive product of the Carolinas. It is, let's see if I can get it right. It's chili, it is onions, mustard, and then slaw. Lots of slaw dogs down here in the Carolinas, and the Carolina dog has chili and onions and mustard all on them.
What does chili look like in the Carolinas as compared to some other areas?
It sort of depends on where you go, but I think by and large it is a beanless chili, almost like a chili sauce. You know, it's like very finely ground beef and a sort of chili powder type sauce.
You ever had a Skyline dog in Cincinnati?
I've been to Skyline. Yes, I have. I've been to Skyline Chili a good bit, and I do like those.
Yeah,
yeah, I like it. It's Skyline Chili is very controversial, but I think you can eat those little dogs all day. I like it.
Yeah, so I can have I don't know, a dozen at a time. No onion for me, but I'll take the mustard, obviously the cheese and the sauce, and I'll go hot sauce on top of that because they always have hot sauce on the side at every table, or if you're sitting at the bar. Skyline to me is, as you said, controversial. It is almost the textbook definition of love-hate. I don't know anybody that's on the fence about a Skyline Coney or anything to do with their chili. Anybody in that place loves that shit, and everybody who's not in there hates it, and that's it.
Yep.
So, like, there's no, I kind of like it. It's like being almost pregnant. I mean, you are or you're not.
Yeah, I definitely do like it. It is weird, I'll admit. It takes the first time you have one, that's sort of all the spices in that chili are quite a shock to the system. But I took to it pretty quickly.
Were you shocked that only 75% of our embedded correspondents thought that the hotly anticipated ham segment met or exceeded expectation?
Shocked? No, I'm not even sure what I would expect it and what their expectations would have been going in. So, I'll point out, I don't think Doug said that it failed to meet his expectations. He just said it didn't exceed his expectations. So the question is, where were his expectations coming in? That this was really going to suck and it didn't exceed that, or
No.
did he really expect it to be like the best segment ever? And I met it. So he really made that clear. So I'm going to choose the latter since it was ambiguous, but
I know it was the latter. I think everybody's, I'm speaking now for the audience and all of the embedded correspondents. I think when we were having the segment that spawned what ended up being the ham segment, we talked country ham, and then you threw out city ham and mentioned a couple other things, and everybody was like, whoa, who knew that there was such a cornucopia of ham? Everybody just thought it was the shit that's in the store that you see, country ham, and that there was not such a variety. And there is where, oh my God, we can't wait to hear the next segment, because we're going to know so much more about ham than we did. So definitely the latter of the situation that you were talking about.
okay.
Now, was in the Bahamas this past week. I had some Bahamian lobster. Not great, not horrible. Had some conch. Had it into like a cold salad, which was okay. Texture was like, but it was okay. Fried conch better than the other versions that I had. Never really saw a prototypical barbecue spot like I would see here in the States, at least not on Paradise Island. Wasn't necessarily looking for one in that setting. Is there a Bahamian barbecue culture that I need to know about?
Not one necessarily that I'm aware of. I mean, there is a Caribbean barbecue culture in general. I'm not so sure about the Bahamas, and if I don't think I've ever. I'm trying to think if I've ever even been to the Bahamas, but been to a lot of other Caribbean islands, but certainly not a Bahamian style that I'm aware of. There is, of course, Jamaica has the jerk, chicken and jerk pork. The thing about that, my general impression of Caribbean barbecue per se is it's not what we would think of as American style barbecue, cooked low and slow on a pit, offset, indirect heat type of thing, but it's much more a grilled tradition. And in Jamaica, if you want to go like the traditional chicken jerk pork stands, they were actually cooking it about 2 feet up above a charcoal fire on big grills. So it's grilling chicken, grilling pork with the jerk marinade, which is this very fragrant, allspice and Scotch bonnet peppers, allspice being also called pimento, and apparently pimento wood is what you're supposed to use to cook over and flavor over. So that is a distinctive thing, and I think you'll find that kind of sort of grilled meats various other places in the Caribbean, but not so much the same low and slow long cooking tradition that you would find, say, in Texas or something like that. So yes and no, at least these days.
So now that we're talking about it, my memory was jogging a little bit. We were taking a bus back, and we ended up catching like the wrong leg. So then we had to go to this resort and this resort and blah, blah, blah. And we ended up kind of going through town a little bit. And there was a place, I believe it was called Anthony's, and it said best ribs in town. And then as we got around the other side of it, because that was like a big mural on a wall on one side. And then, like, where you would go in, the sign that you would walk under said Anthony's Seafood and Ribs. And I thought to myself, I think I have to question everything about how great those ribs are if they're leading with seafood. Would you be cautious as well?
I think the ribs are going to be probably different than what you're anticipating, but you see a lot of that in Florida as well. There are lots of sort of barbecue and seafood type places. They tend to be cooking. A lot of times they'll have like one of those drum grills out back where they're sort of cooking the ribs and they're cooking seafood on it. So that is sort of a fairly common thing down in that down in the Caribbean or Florida. But yeah, I think the ribs are going to be a little more like a grilled type rib than what you're probably expecting in terms of like something that's been cooked in offset smoker and wrapped and held and all that good stuff.
We talked about maybe going back down in November, so I'll have to make it a point to stop into Anthony's and get some seafood and some ribs and see which one is actually better. I don't know if I saw any other rib institute in town. So best ribs in town might also be only ribs in town.
It could be. He could be. Yeah. He could be totally honest in the advertising, and who knows? But I'd be curious. Yeah, I certainly don't associate barbecued ribs with the Caribbean at all.
Outside of the jerk stuff and then the proper ingredients and ways of making it, are there any other Caribbean styles that have become famous or popular?
Well, I don't. You mean of barbecue specifically,
Yeah.
or
Or grilled or anything?
yeah, grill. I mean, certainly the American barbecue tradition does have at least some roots in the Caribbean, and how it came to be is a little unusual. But certainly the name of barbecue itself comes from the Caribbean. It comes from this rack of sticks. It was called either something that sounded like barbecue or barbacoa in English and Spanish, barbecue or something like that in the Taino in the Indian languages, and that got picked up by the European colonists as sort of like the way of cooking on this rack of sticks over wood fire. The Native Americans were in the Caribbean were not cooking whole animals. They weren't cooking pigs up on those things. They were often using the dry fish or cook small cuts of meat and things. That somehow came to North America to Virginia and sort of got merged in. A lot of people will credit sort of the arrival of the African cooking traditions as sort of merging in Virginia and barbecue merged out of that. But there's certainly a shared lineage going all the way back to the Caribbean. Other than the jerk type style, I'm not aware of anything that is a particular Caribbean style. Though that kind of flavoring, if you think about citrus, you think about the pimento, the spices, and things like Scotch bonnet peppers, that has actually sort of moved into the U.S. and is used in a lot of different ways as well. So there is that Caribbean flavor influence, if not particularly necessarily a style of cooking that we don't have here in the U.S.
Any take on the 2026 Barbecue Hall of Fame class?
No, I mean, I think I sort of agree with Meathead on it. I think all four of the nominees were very worthy. I think probably, I can't remember if they all were semifinalists before or not, but certainly they sort of have been up, bubbling up toward the top. And so, I think a very worthy, if not surprising class in any way, because I think all four are sort of shoe-ins at this point. And I think it represents, like the committees typically try to do, a little bit of a, there's a restaurateur, there's a grill manufacturer, there's, Malcolm is sort of competitor and a media personality. And so I think you got that sort of blend of different backgrounds. So I think it's a good class, if not a particularly, no shockers there.
Do you think the process is still good for Barbecue Hall of Fame?
I don't know. Because I think I'm sort of like you. I've been out of it. I was on the committee for a while, and then I got busy, and then I haven't heard from them in a while. So I really don't know if it's changed or if it's the same as it used to be or not. So it has become a little bit quiet, I guess you would say. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on with the deliberations, but the format looks to be pretty much the same as the last couple of years. So I imagine the deliberation process hasn't changed.
Last question before I cut you loose. You had a fairly extensive piece on how the barbecue market is crashing for restaurants. Conversely, it's also budding and a great time to be in barbecue. So can it be both at the same time?
Well, I think my point was about the narrative per se. The narratives are both at the same time. Not so much the state. The condition is whatever the condition is. It's sort of how you want to interpret it. I think this is all pegged off about, I think it's right around Memorial Day, or maybe on Memorial Day. The Washington Post wrote this, I can't remember exactly what the headline was, but something like, the high price of beef is threatening some of Texas's oldest barbecue restaurants. And it really presented it in very dire terms that this is going to change the whole culture of barbecue in Texas and everything else. And then a bunch of other ones, starting with New York Post, and then a bunch of other outlets started running us very similar features a couple of days later, saying, Texas barbecue is about to disappear. The most famous joints in Texas are closing their doors, and literally things like some of the most famous joints in Texas. What's curious is they all sort of they weren't really doing their own research. They were all basically picking up quoting directly the pit masters or the restaurateurs who the Washington Post article quoted. So they just sort of re-reporting it and adding their own spins on it. I think you can, but if you look at it, I think it's when I wrote about it, I said, there's over 3,000 restaurants, barbecue restaurants in Texas. These articles listed about 4 or 6 restaurants that have closed in the past few months. None of them particularly old. None of them, I mean, nothing against the restaurants. Some of them are, quite good, but none of the most famous restaurants in Texas by any means are shutting down. You don't see Franklin Barbecue. You don't see Snow's. You don't see any of the Lockhart places closing down. That would be rather shocking. I don't want to minimize, because I've written a good bit about the challenges facing barbecue in general, and Texas barbecue in particular, because of the high cost of beef and all the other market forces, and that's very real. And barbecue restaurants are struggling. It's difficult, but at the same time, I don't see it as being like an existential crisis. If anything, barbecue is as popular as ever, and that's sort of driving the demand and driving the prices up. So it's barbecue is in an odd state, but I don't think it's doomed by any stretch of the imagination, at least not yet.
But potentially, June of 2026, your tongue-in-cheek call of brisket jumping the shark for the last 48 years really could kind of prove to be true this year, as more and more barbecue restaurants and retailers are certainly diversifying either out of brisket or only making a limited amount of brisket and increasing some of the offerings that aren't really taken into the shorts from a cost perspective.
Yeah, and you talk to any of the barbecue folks, the lots of interviews, they'll say, I'm not making any money off brisket. In fact, I would just assume the less brisket I sell, the more money I make. They would be much better off if people would switch up to other things. There's a strange tension where I think $40 is sort of a pound is sort of this sort of psychological mark that nobody wants to go over, both I think because they feel like they're charging too much. Their customers certainly hit the roof when they see the prices, and there's still customers, restaurateurs will say, you walk in, if you say we don't have brisket, they'll turn around and walk out. They aren't even going to look at what else is on the menu. Wow. So I do think this may prove the year. If brisket is suddenly $45, $46, $48 a pound, and you can get pork steaks and other delicious things for a lot less, maybe people will finally say, okay, I want to have barbecue, but I'm going to skip the brisket today. So far, it's sort of that inelastic demand. People still want it. They'll complain about it. Maybe they'll order a little bit less, but they're still ordering brisket. But we'll see. I'll probably be predicting that the jumping the shark thing again in January, but this may well be, I think it won't change the entire culture, but I wouldn't be surprised if more and more people start diversifying away to other cuts other than just brisket.
Any other topics you're working on that we should be subscribing to the Q sheet for?
Oh, gosh, I'm always working on something. Let me think of on the barbecue front. I got some interesting things I'm working on the non-barbecue front. A lot of historical research and things like that. I'm working on the best new barbecue joints list for Southern Living, which will be coming out in the fall, early fall. So if you watch Instagram, you'll probably see later grams of places I've visited. So I have a whole lineup of, I'm heading out to Texas again soon. I have a whole lineup of places I'm going to be visiting that are all, fairly new and doing that best new barbecue joint list. I think I got a pretty good list, but if anybody has a candidate they want to send me, place that's open in, say, the last 2 years or so, brick and mortar restaurant, shoot them my way. I have a long list, but not long enough. There are still places opening their doors and staying open despite the news reports, and I'll be visiting a lot of them this summer.
Robert Moss is seen right here every month, 35 past the first hour. You can find him at robertfmoss.com. Robert, always appreciate the time and the conversation, and we'll see you in July.
All right, sounds good. See you then.
That's Robert Moss right there. Always bringing the information and the takes, and that's what we love most about Robert Moss. Teaching us something and also saying, this is where I'm standing on certain things. By the way, I agree. Quiet on the Hall of Fame front. I hope I don't have to go back on the railing. I'm not saying I'm going to do that. By the way, I got to say this. To listener Braden, if you're just listening, I apologize. I'm going to sign this. I'm going to autograph it and then send it to you. I still have your email. I was out last week, out of the country, gallivanting around, luxuriating at the Cove. But I'll get that book out to you. So don't worry. You know me and shipping. It's going to happen. Timetable is my timetable. Like, you're getting it for free. Get off my back, Jack. All right. We are pointing to the second hour. I would suggest at this stage of the game, you refresh your libations. You get yourself some high-quality protein and carbs, if you're into that. I've already met my goals for the day. Thank you. And then you can come and return here where we have a whole new second hour of this show. And if you missed the first hour, if you're just tuning in now and you missed the great segment by Robert Moss that we just had, or you missed the hot dog segment that we talked to Meathead with or about, you don't have to worry about it. Yes, you missed it live. Yes, you missed Meathead's malfunction with the microphone. But it's all been captured on video, which automatically archives at the end of every show every Tuesday night. So you can go to YouTube, you can go to Facebook. I don't know if it even takes a minute or two to really be all uploaded and ready for instant replay, but if you want to watch that show, you can do that around 11:10 tonight Eastern. Or if you want to subscribe to the audio podcast, which is how most of you take in the show, then just subscribe to the show, number one on podcast, and then you'll get hour number one tomorrow, and then you'll get hour number two on Thursday. Those are the logistics of what a live show looks like when it also goes into podcast. And oh, by the way, this whole show was a podcast first before it was a live show. Confusing enough? Great. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
This is Dion Blumenrader with Big Hoss One Sauce, and you're listening to the best show on all things barbecue with my man, Greg Rempe.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me! Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
He ate Tootsie or Wiener.
But listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
And just like that, we are into the second hour. It is the Barbecue Central Show, where this show covers the most important barbecue and grilling items of the day. Gotta keep that. Still to come on this show this evening, Mike Lang shortly. And Chris Tanner, first-time guest, World Food Championships. Usually it's a Mike Lang World Food Championships, but tonight we have a Chris Tanner. Just a quick follow-up to my pal Braden, who's waiting on this book. Braden, if you're only listening to this on audio, I apologize. Great news for you on this book. It's the first time I opened it. No offense, Todd and Susie. Todd and Susie have already autographed it. Not to you, not to me. It looks like they probably did a mass signing of books. But on the top, it says, "From my backyard to yours, Susie." And then below that, it says, Taste Test Todd. And then underneath it says Todd Bullock. That's his autograph there. So if you're watching, Braden, I'm going to write my autograph and sign, whatever they call that, the write-up on this side. I'll take up this whole side. And then as a bonus for free, because the book is for free as well, you're going to get a autograph copy from the authors themselves. Susie Bullock and Todd Bullock right there, as I showed you. So how about that? Doesn't get any better than that. Free, shipping's on me, 3 autographs. I didn't even have anything to do with the book, and I'm going to sign it for you. How about that? Remember the old days when I would get sent hundreds and hundreds of cookbooks in the spring when grilling season was getting ready to happen, and they were out releasing all those cookbooks? I had like 50 of those friggin' cookbooks. I think I had Jamie Purviance on once, and I said, hey, what if he sent me like 2 or 3 copies of whatever Weber cookbook he was doing at the time. And I said, Mike, did you take that over? I got to remember to, hold on. Now that I'm thinking about it. Anyway, I think at one time I was having a conversation with Jamie Purviance, and I said, hey, what if I take one of these books and I autograph your book and send it back to you? And he just thought that was the cat's meow. By the way, speaking of cat's meow, can you see it? Where is he? There is rap. There's Charles right there. Hey, dummy. Yeah, look at that guy. Look like he's getting ready to fight somebody. Look how much bigger he is, sitting right there. Of course, we all know that is the piss box that is keeping the mixer free from any cat piss. Although we do believe, and we thank the Lord and Jesus Christ himself for making sure that Snickers died, which I believe effectively eliminated the peeing that was going on around my high dollar electronics. And now he's a good cat on the fireplace hearth. We say good evening to those of you tonight watching through our video streaming platforms, facebook.com/BBQ Central Show, or you can watch on YouTube, which is youtube.com/@BBQ Central Show. I would tell you we have a YouTube poll question of the week, but I would be lying. I swear I wrote it. But something happened in between me popping the chat out and the question taking, and there is definitely no poll question of the week. So we're going to use this one next week, but if you want to jump in for fun. Would you rather be able to erase people's memory or predict their future? What about me? I think the power to erase people's memory, while substantial and potentially beneficial in a number of ways. I'm only going off of how I'm perceiving the question, which means I can't erase single moments of their memory. I'm erasing the memory completely altogether. So from this day on June 9th of 2026, and then everything that's happened before, wiped out. I think I would rather predict somebody's future than wiping out their entire past. Unless they have been through substantial trauma and abuse and all that, then maybe we want to do the memory erase. Why not? What could it hurt? As I look into my switcher box here, I feel like Mike Lang is having incredible technical issues that he is definitely going to work out over the next 3 minutes and 58 seconds, without a doubt. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less this coming Friday, episode 437, taking you back to June 8th of 2010, in the infancy of the show, only 2 years and 4 months old at that time. Being featured this week, one of the creators of the worldwide food craze, little thing called the bacon explosion, everybody. In this interview, I have a conversation with a gent named Jason Day, who at the time was part of something called the Barbecue Addicts. That was a competition team in KCBS, believe it or not, along with his then partner and teammate, Aaron Chronister. Now, today, you might know Jason as Megan Day's husband, representing a team and business called Burnt Finger Barbecue. As I think about it, I don't even know if there's any iteration of Barbecue Addicts that actually exists as we sit here in 2026. It's probably fallen by the wayside, or perhaps has evolved. All of that has evolved into Burnt Finger Barbecue. Not saying that Jason isn't a part of Burnt Finger Barbecue, but I think as we look at the brand, Megan's certainly more of the face of the brand, but I believe Jason is still a very accomplished cook. Also in this episode, if you can believe, we talk about the success that they had with not only the bacon explosion, but they also wrote a book in 2010 called Barbecue Makes Everything Better, still available for sale on Amazon if you want to pick it up. And at one point in 2010, the book, Barbecue Makes Everything Better, won the Gourmand World Cookbook Award for Best Barbecue Cookbook in the world. Not only, have your New York Times bestseller. Who gives a shit? They won the Gourmand World Cookbook Award for Best Barbecue Book in the world. I'm not talking about national recognition. This is on a global scale. This is the pit bull of cookbooks, Mr. Worldwide, if you know what I'm saying. I don't have new updates on the Famous Dave's All-Star Barbecue Series, although I know there was a contest, I believe, last week. And 2 weeks ago, there was one in Las Vegas, Nevada, 5:30. There is one coming up on June 13th, which is just coming weekend in Modesto, California. And for more events this season or to check out finishes, not finishes there, but to check out more event or get more information, famousdaves.com/all-star BBQ series. Quickly, and I'll probably get to it more next week, results of the poultry chicken event that I did on Sunday, I believe. Spectacular, and I'll talk about it more. Everybody wants to know this because I talked about it on my way out to the Bahamas the last time. You want the piss on the floor update, and I'm sad to say I am out of time. I will get to that next week as well. Was there an extravagant and alarming amount of piss on the floor as there was a year before at the Cove bathrooms? Or did somehow my ranting and raving make its way back to Paradise Island, specifically the Cove, where they said, hey, we can't have this maniac on his barbecue podcast / live show talk about how much piss collection has taken place underneath the urinals. Not only do we need to police that, We also need to get piss hogs into the urinals as well. I mean, splash hog. Let's call it piss hogs. Who cares? That could be our brand. I also have a question about flying first class. All next week. First class question. Piss on the floor in the Bahamas. Poultry results. If that's not compelling enough to bring you back next week, I don't know what else I can do. Mike Lang is changing camera angles more than max headroom. But he's up next, whether he likes it or not. Stick around, be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
This segment of the Barbecue Central Show proudly sponsored by Fireboard, the innovators behind the Fireboard 2, the Fireboard Pro, Fireboard Spark, Fireboard Beacon, and the wireless Fireboard Pulse. Experience total control over your device from anywhere in the world with the Fireboard app. Discover more by visiting fireboard.com or by calling 816-945-2232. My next guest tonight, back for his second quarterly appearance here in 2026. You can follow him socially at Another Pint Please and on his new-ish Instagram account, Grillagraphers.cut. You know him from his work with the industry leader Weber, his book, One Beer Grilling, his other book, NASCAR Race Day Eats, his multiple appearances at Grill Fest in Hartville, Ohio, where he is probably going to be at again in September this coming, and an inaugural member of the Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Fame all the way back in 2018. We welcome back Mike Lang. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Greg. Good to
All
see
right.
you.
What is going on with your camera shots? Is this is the computer playing tricks on you or what?
You know, I don't know. I use the Canon EOS web utility to stream from my Canon, and it's just freezing tonight. Not sure what the deal is, so I'm using the janky built-in camera on my Mac. So I apologize for the lack of visuals, but I know this is an audio podcast. So
Yes,
I will
audio
deliver that.
podcast. I mean, look, if we're going to start to pick nits here, I would say even just using the webcam here with the level that it's at and the nice selection of accoutrement in the background, if you wouldn't have said anything, I would have been none the wiser.
Then I will not tell you why I had to go grab 12 half pans to raise the laptop up to a better eye level because I was kind of scrambling for this, but
Yes.
got to roll with it.
Hopefully you got it all on camera for Grillagraphers.cut.
Yes, I actually should grab a behind-the-scenes picture of this. Absolutely.
All right, so we don't have a YouTube poll question of the week this week. I mean, we do, but I forgot to post it, so why bother? Do you, I was asking the other two guests here, do you have a take at all on the Barbecue Hall of Fame class of 2026?
You know what? I heard you talking about Malcolm Made It On, which I think is fantastic. And past that, I've been so out of luck. I've been on vacation, so I don't even know who else made it in. Besides Malcolm, who's not
Mike
you,
Lang.
obviously.
No, not me. Mike Lang
Right.
made it in. I'm sorry. Ben Lang made it in from Lang Cookers. I don't know if you're familiar. Mark Lambert from Sweet Swine Oh Mine. And Carrie Bringle from Peg Leg Pork. That makes your
fantastic.
class. Yeah, those are the living members of the Barbecue Hall of Fame.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so Malcolm, I think this was either his third time in the 10 finalists list or maybe his fourth, but, certainly happy to see him bridge over and finally get into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah. He's such
So deserved.
an inspirational guy and what he does. So I'm so happy to see him recognized. I think that's fantastic.
Were you shocked that he got into the marina business in New Orleans?
You know what? If you're that far south, no.
Well, yeah, but he's in Hernando, Mississippi. Like, that's not close, I don't think. I mean,
Close,
I'm no,
you're looking at moving to
geographer.
Nassau.
Well, I thought about it for a hot minute and then realized expensive and no job. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, I think it would be pretty magical. Or maybe just part-time. I believe there's probably a lot of hurricane situation down there as well. So, while I would definitely enjoy the weather more, especially in those 8 months of winter that we usually get up here, I think that is not the hurricane potential will keep me up north, at least for the next handful of years. Mike, hold on a second.
A Barbecue Central Show exclusive news update.
Greg Rempe reporting from the breaking news desk here in Cleveland, Ohio, the city that breaks the most live-fire breaking news across the country, nay, the globe. And while not live-fire breaking news necessarily, and maybe I read this wrong or it was AI generated or something, is Mike Lang the chief of police somewhere in Ohio?
Yeah, the city of Huber Heights. It's the second largest community in the Dayton area. Yeah.
Last I knew, Mike Lang was retired, everybody.
It's 2 years to the day, believe it or not.
Really?
I accepted the job offer. Yeah. Was not planning, but I tell you what, an amazing opportunity. I'm still young after 32 years in law enforcement, and I realize I still have an itch that can be scratched. And I've, the call of service is too great to pass up, even though I've loved, building things here at the studio and growing my business in the last 2 years. But that's something I can't pass up on. I'm excited about it.
How is that even approached? Is somebody in the city of Huber Heights a fan of Mike Lang and realizes he's out of the LEO day to day and said, well, we might as well make the pitch because he's got all of these great assets and background, he can help the city be better?
No, not so much a pitch. I just knew the job was being opened, and I decided to apply and went through they had a nationwide search, several rounds of interviews, and I was fortunate enough to come out on top. So it's, it's something else. I still have not wrapped my head around it.
You applied. You came out of, on your own, you came out of retirement.
Yes. I'm not really goaded into things. They can be suggested, but you know what? Like I said, something pretty amazing about that service. And maybe the longer I've been away from it, I realize how important that is, and the ability to still have some things to offer and to go back in it's quite an honor. I'm truly excited about it.
What's the hardest part of the interview process?
Simply interviewing. Number one, it's a skill that you have to exercise. You've got to get your reps in to be able to do it. I did, it sounds goofy, but I did a lot of solo interviewing using AI to perfect, my thought processes and how I think about things. So when it comes down to actually interviewing, it's not like, most guys at this point in our careers, you've not interviewed for a job in decades.
Sure.
So you want to make sure that you come across, that you know what you're talking about. And I think preparation played a big key in that.
Do you have any idea how many other finalists were up in that last round?
They ended up looking over 20 applicants, and then they interviewed 8. That was whittled down to 3, and then they selected me.
Wow. Well, congratulations, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for the detour. I appreciate it.
Is that going to affect what was the budding full-time job? Is that getting relegated back down again?
Well, I was thinking long and hard about that, and I'm not taking on any new clients. And obviously, I'm going to continue my work with Weber, who, to me, it's an amazing relationship I've had for, going on 13 years now.
Yeah.
But past that, I've got some other projects. I'm wrapping up with Board and Cheese, and that's what I'll concentrate on. But for the longest time, as we've always talked, this was for me as a weekend and night thing.
Yeah.
So my workload will be manageable, and I'll continue through it as long as they want me to. And if things pop up that I've got time to do, I will do. Don't expect to see a whole lot of original and other Pint Please work for a while, but I'll still talk about dinner and do things. But I'm just going to do what I've been doing.
All right, so let's talk about the Santa Maria style cooker that I believe was unveiled at Memphis in May last month and has since trotted around to some other Weber events. Have you gotten your hands on it and cooked on it? I know it's not, so they've released it, but it's not, or they've showcased, whatever the word is, not available for sale until next year, unless that's going to change. So 2027 is when you can get your hands on it. Wondering what your take is, and if you thought that was a novel release, by Weber, considering what they traditionally offer?
Yeah, I mean, completely. And number one, I'm not dialed into the team. I don't know what actually is happening in terms of the launch goes. I do know it's not scheduled till next year.
Yep.
And like everybody else, I was so excited to see it. I knew it was coming out in the open, and I'm looking forward to getting my hands on it. With everything going on with live fire and that being the current next iteration of things, it's exciting to see Weber enter that arena. I always kind of equate a lot of what Weber does to an Apple thing, where if you follow technology, Apple doesn't always release something right away. They kind of work on it, they hone it, they release it when it's ready to go. And I kind of see that the same way like this, because obviously Blackstone has their own version, and now it's one company. There are other versions out there, but I know Weber, as Weber does, works long and hard on it. And I'm looking forward to actually seeing what happens here at the studio.
It is unique because Blackstone's version is out and available for sale if you're interested in doing that. I mean, if you're looking at one and the other, like how much to you, and again, you're not, in the ins and outs and probably don't know specifics, but just as your expert view, laying eyes on Blackstone, laying eyes on Weber, like where do you see the differences?
Well, I think usually price point is what the difference is to different markets and what people are looking for, and that comes down to quality and build. I mean, they're both great grills. It's the question is, what can you afford and what do you want? People buy cars the same way. I want a car to go from A to B, or I want a car to go to A to B that, I like a lot and has all these extra features on. You do what you want to do.
Are you going to be at Grill Fest in September?
I am.
Yes. All right. So I just heard from Danielle BBQ that she is signed up and she'll be back in September. Is Matt going to be there as well?
I have not talked to him specifically, but I know if he's available, he will, because of course we have to have some cigar time afterwards, of course.
Right. Love that. All right. So looking forward to see you in September. I committed very early when they asked, so excited to see who else might be coming along for the ride here in September. So if you're out near Hartville and you've been just itching to meet both me and Mike in person on the very same day, doesn't happen very often, but this is one of those days where it could actually happen. All right, so you had mentioned AI fortuitously a moment ago, and I thought, what might be more fun than me going into AI prior to the interview, doing some prompting, and then having AI create an interview for me, for you? Do you want to do an AI interview?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, here we go. AI interview. This is not me. This is AI asking Mike questions. Mike, on the Grillographer brand, you often describe your approach to a steak on the kettle like a National Geographic photographer captures a tiger in the Serengeti. After nearly 2 decades, how do you keep that predatory creative drive fresh?
I like that question. The one thing that always gets me for a good still is smoke and flame. I say a picture has got to be alive. And honestly, I love shooting video, but lately I've just been wanting to take more stills. And just tonight, I was grilling chicken thighs on the griddle for just some quick quesadillas for dinner. And it's always about that light. And you know what? I kind of know that light's going to come down. I've got the back is sort of flagged off. It's dark so that smoke pops. And that excites me. Every single time I have thousands of photos where you see something living with fat and flame and smoke. And that keeps me going.
You've been the food stylist for Ace Hardware's major commercials lately. What's the biggest technical challenge in making a grill look perfect for a 30-second broadcast spot versus a still Instagram post?
Some pre-cooking, making sure if you are cooking, hopefully you're going to have a live grill on set, which has been a problem depending upon where we are and what the production is. Sometimes fire laws prevent that. Sometimes if the fire marshal is not there to oversee the production, that's not going to happen. So the one thing is if you can hopefully have a live grill. Number two, your food is somewhat pre-cooked, or it's cooked depending upon what it is. Like let's say it's salmon or it's ribs, but anything to help get that meal look alive. Like the latest Ace shot, you see a bunch of different things like steaks being flipped and ribs that have been done. It's an example of both, and they're both on live grills. And I think that really brings something to it. You can tell when it's been faked a little bit. If in this community you can, the average person probably cannot. But that to me is what makes a big difference. That and just be humble, be gracious, be on time, and be easy to work with. And those productions can be an absolute blast.
Your second cookbook, NASCAR's Race Day Eats, is coming out soon. How does Race Day grilling differ from one beer philosophy of your first book?
That is a very thoughtful question.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
I think Race Day Eats is more towards the, whether it be home gating, tailgating sort of ideas that are easy to prepare, not very difficult, that are appealing to a much broader audience and aren't as risky in terms of ingredients and recipes and everything else that one beer grilling has.
You've said you've grown more comfortable being a grill session artist or a hired gun for clients. Does that freedom allow you to experiment more than you did when you were strictly building another Pint, please?
That's a great question too, actually. No, actually, because being busy, which, it may sound like a flex, but it's true. I mean, when you get busy, one of the things that, I think to maintain your creative edge is to truly experiment, whether you're in photography or video, try things that are different, try to make sure you're doing things that are on the cusp of what's coming next. But a lot of times I think when you are a hired gun, you're being hired for a specific purpose to fulfill a need of a client. And that's what you do. No, as far as creativity, but I've come to be comfortable in that role. If someone recognizes that as something Mike Lang did, then that to me is a recognition enough.
For the folks that are diehard grillographers, cut followers, what's one piece of non-grilling gear, lighting, lens, software that has recently transformed your workflow?
My new tripod. It's actually a studio stand from a company called Studio Titan. It has changed everything I do in terms of creativity, in terms of efficiency. In essence, think of it as a center column on 3 legs with caster wheels. And that center column is on a pulley system where it effortlessly slides up and down. It can be locked in. It can hold 2 different cameras or 2 different heads. I've got a slider and a video head on one side. And I can reframe a shot, move a shot, change things rapidly without having to screw around with tripod legs or anything else. That has been a 100% game changer, and I would not know what I would do without it.
We've seen you doing more ASMR style content with Weber Griddle. In a world of fast-paced social media, why do you think people are so drawn to the sound of the grill now?
Which is ironic, seeing most people watch videos muted. However, the ASMR.
I'm sorry, I'm going to break out of character here. Are you doing ASMR style content with Weber?
No, oh my gosh, I brought that up actually. I always like seeing what's happening in other spaces socially to bring it back to Weber, to pitch something. If it's working for, let's say, fashion or in automobiles, and there's an angle for food, I'm always like, let's try that. And ASMR was thinking very early. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool because obviously a grill has amazing sounds.
Yeah.
But no, none of it's been recently. None of it on a griddle. I mean, a griddle sounds like a griddle most of the time. It's, it's a cast iron metal sheet that's hot and things are bubbling on it. A grill, I think, has a little more variety. But that's where we are with that.
All
Nothing
right.
recent.
So great, creepy AI question coming up. I saw you recently reconnected with an old friend from the brewing industry who now makes sci-fi themed sake. How do these outside the barbecue world interests like sake or even watch modding influence your creative eye?
Yeah, my buddy Todd, great story actually. And Todd and I go back. Todd worked in marketing at Sam Adams at Boston Beer. And back in my homebrew days, another Pint Please actually did come from a beer origin. Todd had reached out and supplied us all with all the Sam Adams swag. And I went out to Boston, met him a couple times. We became friends. And he, I know from a very early on, had wanted to start his own sake brewery. And he did that. And it's phenomenal. It's outside of Boston. The sake is great. He sent me some not too far long ago, probably why the AI picked up on that. So it's awesome to see that. It's truly amazing to have those friends that are super successful in other areas that you know nothing about. Like I don't know much about sake, but it's enriched my life. Needless to say.
Watch modding? You into watch modding?
I like watches, not like your watches, but.
I don't know what watch modding is. All right. Little behind the time on this one too. Now that you've transitioned from a 30-year career as a forget it. Next 90 days, Mike, with the new book coming and summer grilling season in high gear, the new book which you've already done. What's the one project on your horizon that you're most excited about?
I actually just wrapped up a project for Weber, which is a bunch of summer grilling content. The 4th of July, Stealth Kettle, Stealth Spirit, a bunch of summer video I shot that they're going to use for different things. And that was actually a blast and a little bit different than what I'm typically doing for them. So yeah, that's probably the most recent thing. Past that, just what I usually do. Got some Borden working on and some Ace work. So
is the Borden stuff like on their website or on TV?
It is, yeah.
Or, yeah.
It's on their television. I mean, sorry, on their website and YouTube. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that brings an end to our AI-generated interview. So a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst interview you've ever been through. And please leave my expert question asking. Oh my God, it's terrible. Leave my professional question asking capabilities to the side. Let's not factor that in because I could raise it up. 1 worst, 10 best interview ever. How did AI do for you?
You know, I think a solid 7. Wasn't horrible. It was actually pretty rounded.
Not overly timely. I feel like some of the things that it could have pulled, you've posted about. It could have found those perhaps more readily than the book that thinks that it hasn't been released yet. That's a little alarming, but I mean, it can't be right there. But there were a couple pretty good questions there. Anything else that you want to promote or places that you're going to be that we should be looking out for? Are we still going to go to the concert in August if I come down there?
Well, yeah, let me know. I forget what day of the week that is. That may be a problem now.
I think it's a Sunday. I think.
We'll talk about it.
All right. Well, if not, I think they've also decided to circle up to Akron for some reason. So yeah, we'll talk about it offline and see what's happening then. This is Mike Lang. You can find him here once per quarter. So he's got 2 more visits here in 2026. Mike, we'll see you in 3 months.
Always a pleasure, Greg. Thanks so much.
You got it. Mike Lang, ever the professional, yes. And make sure I'm not going to blow through the read here. Yeah. Another Pint, please, is his website. Chris Tanner is in the bullpen, ready to close it out here this evening. Gang, are you ready for a cigar experience built on history and passion? Let me tell you about McAuliffe Cigars, a partnership forged between Texas passion and a Cuban cigar-making dynasty whose heritage spans back to the 1930s. Whether you seek a nuanced elegance of the Migdalia or the complex power of the Leyenda, McAuliffe offers a symphony of flavor for every palate. And don't forget about the ever-expanding Color Series, an unmatched smoking experience coupled with an unmatched value. White is the most recently released. I can't talk about what I got in the mail 3 weeks ago. Also in the Color Series, they have something called the number 2, which is basically, this is going to sound not well put together, and it's anything but that. It's highly well put together. But it's like let's call it the scraps of all of the other colors. In the cigar world, we call this the Cuban sandwich. And you got your roller putting that together. Highly impressive. And again, for the price, what are we talking about here? It's $7, $8 for Toro, or $7 for a Robusto, $8 for Toro. If you're into cigars and you don't know McAuliffe, this one has to be a brand that you seek out and try. All the lines are really good. Visit McAuliffeCigars.com to find a retailer near you, and that is MICALLEF, McAuliffeCigars.com. Again, we're back with Chris Tanner right after this. Stick around, be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
And we thank Mike Lang from anotherpintplease.com for joining us last segment. Coming out of the bullpen tonight, a first-time guest on the show. accomplished food sport competitor, a food sport judge, a chef. Currently, the Vice President of Operations and Culinary Innovation at the World Food Championships. Have we talked about World Food Championships here on this show? Yes. Do we know our pal Mike McLeod? Yes, of course we do. But tonight, it's new, and we love new. We welcome in Chris Tanner. Hey, Chris.
It's good to see you. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, and for the short amount of time, we're going to try and push through as much background as we could possibly get in on Chris Tanner, and then as we go forward from there, much more manageable, much more World Food Championship friendly. So before we even talk about World Food Championships, are you a strong man?
I'm 6'1", 310 pounds, and I compete in strongman competitions. Yes.
What does that look like?
745 pounds. I could put 325 pounds overhead. I'm a little bit strong.
Wow. Is that something you had always been into, or did you evolve into strongman?
I started about 5 years ago when actually about 7 years ago, just previous to COVID. I did it as a way to lose weight, and then realized, wow, I could gain more weight with muscles, oddly enough. So just a good passion as a chef. I get to eat good food, and also lift some heavy weights.
Is that something that you would like to try, like in a major event at some point?
I do major events. I'm doing official strongman games in November, which is one of the biggest shows you could do. Remember, I'm Masters, so I'm going to be 50 in December. I'm never going to be the guy on the TV
Not
show.
Magnus Magnuson.
He's going to be. So my coach is actually one of the guys you see on TV all the time, Travis Odermeyer. So he's one of the guys over the years, and Magnus and he were judging a competition a month ago. Very good friends. I know all those guys, but again, I'm going to be 50, so I'm never going to be the guy who'll be on television. But it's okay. I do it as an inspiration to my kids. But also, maybe if I did it in my 20s, maybe I would have been better. But I'm also not 6'8". I'm 6 foot, which sounds pretty big, but 6'8" is what most of those guys are now.
Do you have daughters by chance?
I do have a daughter. She's the big one, actually.
Wow. Oh yeah. Well, poor boyfriend. Dad could throw 325 pounds over his head. Those punks don't stand a chance.
She's a force to be reckoned with as well. Don't worry.
Yeah, well, like father, like daughter. So good job on that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's look into the culinary background, maybe general background of Chris. Where did you grow up? Where are you at now? And what were you doing for a living?
Yeah, so I'm from upstate New York originally. I've staged at places like Bayona in New Orleans and Danielle in New York City. And my culinary pedigree is, above average. But I care more about, weirdly enough, which fits really what we're doing now, burgers, fries, that kind of thing. I've worked for Disney. I've worked for Tenaya Lodge out in Yosemite. But the best thing I've ever done recently was I had a burger at a bar in Jacksonville, Florida, which is where we live now. And I talked to people about, what's the best thing you ever ate? It's never a thing at Alinea. It's never a thing at Thomas Keller's restaurant. Which are the great restaurants. Love those people. Love them. They're great, amazing chefs. It's the everyday bite you get to have. It's the sandwich you had at Katz's Deli in New York City. It's the burger you had at the local bar, which is what we had the other day. My wife and I. There's a local bar called the Cavern. We went to on a paper plate, had chilies on it though, cheese on it. Just a local Tillman's beef ground. To me, my culinary pedigree all goes into what's the best ingredient to put in the best dish that everyone wants to eat every day. And I say that's pretty much one of the reasons I wanted to go work with Mike McLeod at World Food Championships is literally we are celebrating the everyday cook.
Where at in upstate New York?
I'm originally from Schenectady, New York. It's an armpit of New York.
No way.
They make fun of us a little bit, but it's middle of nowhere in New York, kind of near Albany.
I know Schenectady. I was born and raised in Saratoga Springs.
Oh, so my dad lives in Saratoga now.
Really? All right. There we
Yeah.
go. Making connections all over the place. Is he
we
getting
go.
jazzed up for race season?
Oh, well, we have rental property up there, so yes, of course,
Yeah.
100%.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I bet. All right, great. So, so you said you had worked at Disney and you'd worked at some other like pretty high level restaurants. Initially, were you looking to be that fine dining chef, and like eventually were hoping to open your own restaurant, or did you just like the elite food?
So I specialize in my tattoos. All show it charcuterie, sausage making, um, air dried sausages. I grew up in a family that kind of did all that kind of stuff, and I always wanted to open my own like kind of sandwich. I would say at one point fine dining restaurants, and then at one point in my head, I wanted to open a. Uh, there used to be a place in Boston called the Butcher Shop. I'm not sure if it's there anymore. Barbara Lynch was the owner, um, and she made all her charcuterie in house and would make sandwiches during the day or sell the charcuterie during the day. And I've just always thought that like that's the thing I wanted to have. I want to have a place that everyone can just like have the stuff that a great chef would make, but an everyday person can have it. And it drove me nuts for years in my career at the beginning that I was making this food that, people had to make so much money to go eat it. And I don't want that. I always wanted to make the food that, the everyday person could have.
You're also a food competitor. You've won a number of awards, so that's great. Also, as I had mentioned in the open, a very accomplished and seasoned competition judge. How do you think winning awards and then also being a judge, like how does that dual perspective change the empathy and strictness you bring to running a massive tournament and landscape?
Yeah. So I was my previous position to come with World Food Championships was being the executive director for the American Culinary Federation. We do very old school skill based. I hate the word old school. Very high end skill based competitions. 4 portions of an entree. The protein, the starch, the vegetables, the sauce. Doing those sort of things are great, but they're just not the everyday thing that you don't want to do. Repeat the question a little bit, just so I.
So how does having been both an accomplished competitor and accomplished judge, like how does that dual perspective change empathy and strictness that you're bringing to like World Food Championships?
The empathy comes from nobody. It's those things that I used to make were very difficult to make. The empathy is the people who make the burgers every day, the people who make the sandwiches every day, the people who make the fries every day, the people who make the noodle dishes every day that are in our competitions now they're just trying to make it. They're trying to go through the day every day. They're trying to make a living and have a great dish that the people will love every day. They're not trying to sell a $50 dish. They're trying to make the $10 dish. And I think when you look at the dishes that they're making now, I appreciate them so much more because I know the flavors there. I know the skills there. They're not looking to put it on a piece of china that costs $45. And it's the best example. I went back to that burger I was talking about earlier. A friend of mine a new friend of mine who made that burger, they were talking about, someone made a comment when I posted that burger on a Facebook page, said, why is it on a paper plate? It's a burger. It's the best ground beef I've ever had in my entire life. It's the best hatch chilies I've ever had in my entire life. Who cares about the plate?
Yeah.
But my background would say that it has to be on the perfect Bernardone plate, the $45 plate. It doesn't have to be on that plate. The paper plate's perfect. Let's put it in a quarter sheet tray, which is a lot of the barbecue places are doing now. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's great because also at the end of the day, it's labor costs, and that's one of the hard things about our industry now. People don't realize it's very expensive to run a restaurant. You want to have a great chef, you want to have a great bartender, and you want to have a great manager. And you want to have a dishwasher if you want, but you don't want to overwork them just for the sake of having a plate.
How does the opportunity at World Food Championships come up?
Oh gosh. So 2 years ago, I was executive director of the ACF. Mike McLeod and our president of the ACF met, and they were talking about doing some sort of partnership. And I don't think they knew what they wanted to do. And Mike and I met, and we just started talking about 2 years ago, and said, "Hey, we want to do something different to elevate the level of judges that we have for the master level judges we have for World Food Championship." So I brought 10 of our ACF. We actually have a whole judges program. There's only 110 of us that are certified as judges. I'm literally here at UMass Amherst, actually, which is why I'm in a hotel room judging a competition this week.
Nice.
So we're certified as judges. There's very few of us. And he said, "Hey, I want to have that level of master judges for us." So he brought us in. I brought 10 judges in, and we just continued the conversation. And 2 years passed, and I decided after 2 years with the ACF that I wanted to leave the position and go do something else. I turned the association I've been a member of for 30 years around financially, successfully, and all the other pieces. And I called Mike to say, "Hey, Mike, I'm leaving the ACF. Just wanted to let you know because we had a partnership that we were doing together because we were creating a food sport competition with the ACF, which was a qualifier to go to World Food Championship." He said, "Hey, would you like to run my competition for me?" And which I did last October. And ran the event for him last October. Met so many amazing competitors, so many just great staff. And 2 months ago, he hired me on full time. So.
What is culinary innovation in your mind when you hear that term, especially as it relates to World Food Championships, because that's a competitive sport? But what does culinary innovation mean?
There is no such thing as new food, unfortunately. There's new ways of translating food into something that you'd never thought about it before. So technique, ingredients. So I'll go back. I started in the industry 30 years ago. We had green bell peppers. We had one green bell pepper. Yellow peppers, red peppers. If you did, they were expensive. Shiitake mushrooms were exotic. Soy sauce. You had one bottle of soy sauce. There's so many ingredients that are available to us now that you can walk into the store and make the most interesting thing ever. However, it might not be good because you don't know what to do with it. Culinary innovation comes from understanding the ingredients you're cooking with. So what you need to do is first cook with the 7 soy sauces you just saw to see which one tastes good. Culinary innovation comes from taking those 7 soy sauces and realize which one's the best one to match it with the burger to make sure the meat tastes better.
What do you find most exciting about World Food Championships? I've tracked it. I've known Mike for 20 years. I knew him well before World Food Championships even existed, when he was just doing marketing for KCBS, where this kind of whole thing spawned at one point. Advanced it 14 years or whatever it is now, and it's really a force. It is truly world dominated.
Yeah.
How do you see it now? And then being VP of Ops Culinary Innovation, where would you like to see it, or where do you hope to bring it in the next 2 years?
Yeah, he's marched very well toward making the best experience ever for the competitors, and the competitors are having a great experience. They get paid very well at the end when they win. The everyday, we want to make sure that it's accessible to the everyday person wanting to come watch it. The Food Network person who wants to come watch the show. So we're trying to make the show a little bit different. That we have trade show type booths. We call it the Food Sport Village, where people get to come taste all the ingredients that are being sponsored to go into the mouths of the people that are making the burgers. And I keep going back to burgers because is one of my favorite things, by the way.
Yeah, same.
We are changing categories where it used to be that I remember the first 2 years, unless I was a judge, no one would get to taste the food. So now we're doing People's Choice Awards. So now 500 people get to buy tickets to go to the People's Choice Award for the burger battle or for the dessert smash, and actually get to be the people who actually also give the awards to the competitors. So not only do they get a chance to win a ticket to go to the final table, but they're also going to win some extra money to do that. Those are the things that I'm helping Mike to go to the next level, to just change things a little bit. And the every day, I would say the general attendance person coming in, they're going to find just a different experience that was not the experience they were getting before. The competitor always had a great experience. I think everyone coming in to just have fun. And what's going to be great is the competitors are going to get to have the experience of meeting those people too.
This is a barbecue show and a grilling show. I remember back in the beginning of World Food Championships, a lot of the barbecue teams were winning the overall championship. They were coming out of the barbecue category. That's kind of stemmed a little bit over time. But there's been a whole new style of cook. There's been new categories added. So as you look at the barbecue category specifically, like, what do you like about it? And if you could change anything about it, what would it be?
I wouldn't change anything. The only thing I would change it is we're going to do, we call it the Ring of Fire. You have to have the best of the best come and compete for barbecue. You get the barbecue competitors coming from all the different arenas coming to compete with us, along with our other qualifiers, and then come and do the best of the best to compete against all the other categories. We want to see people who can not just take barbecue, but also turn barbecue into something else. So, it's great when you make great ribs, but what can you do with on the plate? What can you do with brisket on the plate? I love brisket. I used to be terrible brisket, by the way. I learned brisket from a friend of mine up in he competes in Mid-Atlantic Barbecue Association, and he took the Mambla Award twice, hot and fast. I never did my hot and fast. I learned how to do barbecue from barbecue competitions, but he's also a chef. So he's the kind of guy, though, he's going to be able to take that hot and fast barbecue and also turn it into a plated dish at the end. And I think at the end of the day, with World Food Championship, that's the differentiator. Not only do you have to do barbecue, you have to take that barbecue and put it in a plated dish eventually.
You're doing the competition this weekend. Anything else coming up that we should know about or that you'd like to promote before I let you go today?
Oh, we got the Famous Dave's rounds are going around, and the Walmart as well as the Sam's Club different barbecue competition. And Sam's Club, we have every time you go into a Sam's Club and you see the chefs that are in there, those are our super chefs. So make sure you watch out for them. They're a force to be reckoned with. Those are our chefs, and they've also probably competed or won different categories. So if you want to taste some good food, make sure you get out to a Sam's Club.
Totally off topic, but on topic. How impressive is the family of Wins?
I'm sorry?
How impressive is the family, their last name, the Wins? Like, how impressive are they?
Oh.
I mean, literally a family of wins, right? So they won Memphis and Bay Open Fire.
Wild,
Preston's won it twice at World Food Championships. Yeah. Had no idea that the family was such a culinary juggernaut.
And a barbecue on top of that. So not only do you get you end up winning a World Food Championship, but you also end up winning some barbecue. So that's a big win. No pun intended.
No doubt. This is Chris Tanner, World Food Championships, VP of Ops and Culinary Innovation. Chris, really appreciate the look back and getting to know you a little bit more. And as I said, look forward to having future conversations focused around World Food Championships and what's coming up.
I appreciate it, brother. Thanks.
You got it. Have a good night. It's Chris Tanner right there. Great first debut appearance. First debut. Okay, well, that's redundant. Great debut appearance by Chris. Of course, the website is worldfoodchampionships.com. And, I mean, really, when you look back, upstate New York guy, which certainly appreciate, few of us out there, and great culinary background, of course, the ACF, and then transitioning very recently over to World Food Championships. So great look back at how he's transitioned and grown in his professional career, and a strong man to boot. So be aware. He can deadlift plus 700, and he can toss plus 300 over his head. I don't know if the last time you tried to toss 50 pounds over your head. Add another 300 pounds. Not easy. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this show up. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. let's get back to a guy who has more experience giving you his opinion than he actually has cooking. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Hey, we thank Chris Tanner from World Food Championships joining us. I think this is the first outside of Mike McLeod World Food Championships interview we've done. Outside of like winners and stuff, but people within the actual organization. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up here. All the way back in the first hour, you might recall a hot dog conversation that we had with one Meathead from AmazingRibs.com, followed up by Robert Moss, his website, robertfmoss.com. Second hour, Mike Lang from Another Pint, Please, featuring an AI-generated interview. There were some hits, there were misses. And then closing it out tonight is first-time guest, VP of Operations and Culinary Innovation at World Food Championships, Chris Tanner, worldfoodchampionships.com. Big show planned for you next week, so be ready for that. Third week already, if you can believe it. So until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. American Greg Rempe saying, Shalom, shalom!
This is Doug Scheiding, the Road Cookers, Texas Embedded Correspondent. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.